breathe me in and let me go. Filling the lungs inside you, and the blackened eyes make my way into your mind. Just to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control.
Guys, how you all doing? I'm Seanie.T. Welcome to my channel, and this is a bit of a car update for you. I've got a Subaru WRX STI I bought 2 months ago. It's on a 2016 plate and it's coming up to 14,000 miles. I've only done 300 of them, but I am loving every minute of the car when it comes to driving it. Downside is I'm a bit in limbo whether to modify the car, because every time you change something performance related on the Subaru WRX, it requires the ECU to be flashed, which is kind of like when you've had it tuned, but you need to download the flashes from COG, I assume COG, their website, onto the handset, and then plug the handset in and reflash the ECU, so to get its optimum performance out of whatever modifications you've done to it. The problem with this is trying to locate one. They seem to be only really available in America. Now, I've tried a few companies. Demon Twix was trying to get hold of one for me, but the one for the Subaru RX at the moment on the 16 to 18 plate one for us in UK is very, very difficult to get hold of. This is starting to worry me a little bit, because if I can't get one of these, I can't do what I dream to do with a car. So I'm going to have to try and persist with it, but luckily for me we're going over to the States in February, so I'm going to try and pick one up then while I'm over there and get one overnighted to where we're staying and bring it back with me. So in the meantime it might just have to be custom looking parts that concentrate on its exterior more than performance. Interior wise, nothing really to do with it. The car looks lovely inside, the clocks and everything looks super cool with all the extra bits and pieces and all the fancy buttons it's got, and that'll keep me occupied for a little while, so I don't think we really need to change anything in that. As performance, you can all read a brochure, and if you're interested you already probably know, so there's no point me just spooling off loads of information to you, but generally it's claiming to have 305 brake, although it feels so smooth you don't realise that you're even pulling that sort of power, even if it is. Other downside is, because it's a Subaru, expected to have a loud exhaust, a bit of a neighbour hater. But this one comes from factory with a quad outlet tips on it, and it's so quiet. Even when you put your foot down and really fire it, it doesn't still feel like a Subaru yet. Also, there's no dump valve, you're only running recirculatory valve as standard, and they seem like they're a bit of a pain in the ass to get in and get set up as well, whether it's going to cause any problems for performance sticking one on. So, but can you drive a car that's like a Subaru? That doesn't sound like a Subaru. I don't think you can. A Subaru needs to sound like a Subaru. All the fancy bits and pieces inside only go so far, but you really need to hear that abusive Asbo wanting exhaust and dump valve. So for me, I think we'll have to persist with it and see if we can track one of these cob access ports down. So if anyone knows of anywhere, a supplier or anything like that, or someone even for sale, hit us up in the comments below. It'd be lovely if you could. If not, I'll just have to see if we can get one in February. Performance on the car, it's got all these fancy little gadgets, and there's no point me spending spending ages trying to tell you stuff that are only half-truths that I've read or listened to. There's people out there on YouTube that can tell you the top and bottom of the spec of this car a lot better than I probably could. But generally there's a cool little button in here that I can make it more power related to the back end or the front end, depending on the driving conditions, whether it's loose or whether you want a driver's day or all that sort of stuff. So that looks pretty cool. And it's nice to have everything that works in the car. I previously owned a Subaru Mark IV, and although it was pretty cool when you go riding through town, kids have got their phones out, and the video in it as it goes past, everyone seems to adore it. For a driver, it felt cool, but the downside is every time you went out on it, you were worried that something was going to fall off, or you had to get turned home. There was always mechanical issues worrying you every step of the way with it, because it was that old and quite hard to get parts for. It's nice to be able to go out in the Subaru and come home in one piece with everything still as I took it out of the garage. So as we're looking around, is this a bit of a good buy or a bad buy? For 23,000 quid, I thought I'd done a bit of homework on it, and it looks like for the UK that Subaru are no longer importing the turboed vehicles to UK. It's something to do with emissions law or something like that. And as it goes, I haven't yet found a 2019 model in the UK yet. So with that in mind, it looks like what I heard was true. So therefore, if that's true, does that make them more desirable? That's all. That sort of power, it feels really, really cool. So I think become more desirable because people, let's face it, people still. So if what I hear is right on, let's say the dealer who sold me this claims that Subaru no longer sending turboed vehicles to the UK as of 2019. I've had a quick look and I can't find a 2019 model here in the UK, so it's looking like this guy's telling the truth. So in which case, if that's going to be happening, and people are still using the Subarus, especially the WRXs and the STIs, as daily drives, and this I would think also applies to the Imprezas, they are gradually going to get less and less on the road, because at some point all the cars and stuff must die. So with that in mind, does that make them either more desirable because there's going to be less? The demand for them will still be there because people still use them. So I think for the car we're going to try and keep it below 20,000 miles, which would be nice, and it might retain some of its value. So we're going to keep our eye out for this cob access port. We'll see if we can get this sorted out underneath the bonnet and see if we can get a few more of the horsepowers released. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep riding it and just keep enjoying it. So like we said earlier with this one, it's completely standard, so when I'm driving through town, having a little cruise through, no one even notices it, because it's so quiet, it literally creeps past everybody. And they don't even realise that the new Subaru WRX has just passed them by, or STI. Whereas when you're in the Subaru Mark IV, because it had the aftermarket exhaust on like most do, kids would have plenty of warning that it was coming up the road to get the phones out and get it videoed and show the mates and all that sort of stuff, because most of them haven't seen one other than maybe in films, let's say in the Fast and Furious franchises. Now, would I go back to one again? I had a quick look around one before I bought this, and they wanted 10,000 quid for it, and it was a normal GE. And at that point I had to think, well, if I spend 10,000 on this, at this level, I'm still not happy with it. It's still a GE engine, it's not the GTE, so the engine would have to come out. I would look at getting a deal I saw on eBay not so long ago, which was for 14,000 quid. And for that you got the 2JZ VVTi engine, the V161 gearbox, and the big diff and the prop to go with it. But at the end of the day, at that point I'll be £25,000 deep, and it still wouldn't be an RZ. So I had to come away and start thinking about it a little bit and decide what was best for me. And with kids and everything that I want to be involved now, the bench seats on the back of the Super were no good, so they enjoy coming out in the car, so it had to be practical as well. This one does seem to fit the bill a little bit more so than maybe one of its slightly older ones in the hatchback one. I wasn't very keen on that, and space did look a little bit limited. But whereas this one does fit the bill quite comfortably. Would I buy one again? I think I would. So just a quick recap, guys. Do I think I made a mistake spending the money on this car? I think in my heart of hearts this car is going to go up in value very quickly. Maybe not in the next 5 years, it might be 10 years, but this car and other Subarus and the Impreza WRXs and STIs like it will go up in value, I think, because of their lack of them that'll be coming into the country after 2019. That noise, I'm making sure I want the car. So if you've got one or you're thinking of getting one, get one now before they go up even more. Never know, you could have a good clean example of a future collector's car. Hit me up in the comments section below if you've got any thoughts or opinions on that, or if there's anything about the car you'd like to see as a standard car before we start messing with it. And if you like what you see in the video, or you like the other videos, or you're keen to know what's going on in the Subaru world, please hit that like button or subscribe button. All the support I can get is greatly appreciated, and until then I will catch you in my next video. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Seanie.T out.
I am on a whole nother level. Girl, he only fucked you over cause you let him. Girl, I guess he didn't know any better. Girl, that man didn't show me ever. Do all I can just to show you you're special. Certain it's your love that holds me together. Lately you say he been killing the vibe.
Kind of thing that plugs into the Urban-E2. That's really shit, you don't want to say that. Problem with this is I'm only able to see if I can. Problem with that is I can only get a